Talk 1230, Seymour, Texas. Lawdog Sports on a Monday on SportsTalk 1230. Check in through the Lawdog, brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, where Texoma wins. Joined by my partner, Jeremy Schroder, streaming to you live on Facebook at Lawdog Sports and online at lawdogsports.com. And a big weekend of sports held in several events and multiple facets, I guess you could say, Jeremy. And you took advantage of the lapse in football time, I guess you could say, other than the Underwear Olympics. And you said you went out and took the family to see the Batman. What was the Siskel and Ebert rating from the Schroder family?
Well,
how are you doing?
it was a thing. I don't know. It was okay. It's a little off-putting.
Okay.
The entire movie. You just have to see it. I don't know. I'd probably have to watch it again to give it a true review.
Yeah, I won't.
I liked parts of it. I despised parts of it.
Okay. Well, I guess that's the sign of a quality movie. Who knows? But no, I tell you, it's one of those things I can't remember. I don't think I've gone to a theater since well before the pandemic of 2020 started.
Wow. Not before the plague.
Yeah, long before. I think the last one I went to see was probably when we lived in Oklahoma City. We went up to Quail Springs and saw the Mr. Rogers documentary.
Yeah, that was a documentary starring Tom Hanks.
I think it was My Neighbor or something. So anyways, yeah, no, it wasn't the Tom Hanks, the one that they actually did about Fred Rogers before.
Okay. That was okay.
Even Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, I waited to come out on video. So anyways, but well, good for you, man, getting out and supporting Harkins and getting life back in the swing of things. I hear that mask mandates are starting to drop all over the country, and it's a good thing that we're freed up to go places, and now gas prices are going to be $5 a gallon.
Yeah, everything's kind of relaxing unless you're trying to get into Hawaii. That's like trying to get into North Korea these days.
Well, and wow, the prices in Hawaii are probably reminiscent of Stalin's communism. I harken back to that episode of The Office where Pam and Roy were still together, and they're at a mock Hawaiian luau, and Roy leans over and he goes, "Remember when I wanted to go to Mexico for our honeymoon? You wanted to go to Hawaii?" And she goes, "Yeah." And he goes, "I was so right, because nothing against the Hawaiians or the Hawaiian people, but I hear it's beautiful, but I hear it's also got its drawbacks." But anyways, we're talking sports here on Sports Talk 1230. Okay. Go ahead.
To see Aloha Stadium.
Yeah. So I think Nick Rolovich as soon as I think Hawaii, but
wow.
Or better yet, June Jones. So I tell you, Jeremy, I'm going to throw down a date to you.
Okay.
And this date has a lot of meaning, both personal and now sports-wise. But the date is April 17th.
Okay.
So this coming April 17th would have marked my 30th year in police work. I fell 1 year short, and about a month did 29 with the department that I worked for, and retired. And April 17th was my hire date. And so that's always a date, that I kind of look back on and stuff, starting a job in law enforcement at 21 years old. That was quite a change, especially, coming out of college directly. But now I think the date's going to hold some new significance, because April 17th is the first week it's week one of the USFL. Wow. And we've got Houston Gamblers. We've got Houston Gamblers football on it. The noon kickoff, Jeremy. What could be more near and dear to you and I than a noon kickoff? And so,
yeah, I mean,
Houston Gamblers they're going to release their full schedule today. Tickets drop tonight, they said, and I use the phrase drop because that's how they phrased it on Twitter. But they take on the Michigan Panthers April 17th at noon, and a full slate of USFL football. And you know what? Baseball will probably not be playing then. So you know what? I'm going to sit in my chair all day long and just people talk about binge watching series on Netflix. I'm binge watching the USFL. You can mark that down, buddy.
Yes, please. More Shea Patterson, the better, right? You watch those Michigan Panthers.
Yeah, Clay Thorson. That's who I'm going with on the gambler side. And plus, what could beat a morning, watching a Kevin Sumlin offense other than if you're in Tucson?
Yeah, I guess. You're longing for the days of Rich Rod if you're over there.
Well, thanks for that. Thanks for that analysis there, Monty. Hey, real quick, I did some high school basketball over the weekend, and I probably ramble quite a bit on the broadcast for the team that I broadcast for. And so I brought in the first area championship game. I brought in young man who's our engineer, and it's so weird because these guys work full time for the radio station that I do play-by-play for, and they're all younger than my sons. That just, how they put up with me, I don't know. But anyway, so there was one time where I said something and pitched it over to him because he stepped in and did some color analysis, and the first thing came to mind because I said, "What do you think about that?" And he goes, "Yeah, they did pretty good."
It's not the best color man in the business.
The first thing I thought was from Major League.
Yes.
Man, that year broadcasting school really paid off, Monty. No, he does a great job, and he's a good kid. But I so bad wanted to go straight Bob Euchre on that one.
Well, when Harry Carey felt he was going flat, he would just drink on air. So maybe you should get
here's the thing. The station that I broadcast the basketball games for, I'm really going to try to go in and pitch to them that they need me on either high school or SWAZU baseball, because I think I could throw out some award-winning radio with the time allotted in a baseball game.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of good stuff up here in this noggin, Jeremy.
Yeah. Wow.
References,
it's going to be like the other night when Bill Walton was doing that basketball game and he started talking about Russia, and ESPN just cut his mic.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that is so classic. I'm telling you, and I would never go nearly as opinionated or as
goofy
and shocking as he does. But I think it's a great train to watch. But so anyways, but hey, we had a lot of sports go on, like I said, and the USFL is upcoming. 40 days, 8 hours, 19 minutes, 45 seconds, Jeremy. Inaugural season kicks off. So it's time. It's time to get some alternatives out there. And thing is, if we support it now, they'll bring a team to this region, either Dallas, or Oklahoma City, whatever.
Oh, Tulsa.
Yeah, Tulsa had the Outlaws back in the 80s. So
there is no Outlaws team right now.
No, there's not. That's why I say if we
support
them now, maybe they'll expand. I mean, what could be better than USFL expansion?
Because it worked so well the first time. We don't learn anything in the US.
Yeah, I mean, that's the capitalist United States business program. Have something good, then try to grow it too fast, and then it goes away. That other than the Lord's chicken and those that were staples from back in the day, there's how many you can count on how many hands that businesses just expanded really quick and it went well.
You're right.
If any of those businesses want to advertise with us, you're welcome. So anyways, real quick. So we had Randy Renner on the Thunder Game Report at the top of the hour. And it's funny.
We probably do need to address this, don't we?
Watching the Facebook Live, it comes up on the comments as Randy Reddick. So that's kind of funny. Maybe he's JJ's grandpa.
Is that JJ's grandpa? Yeah.
JJ's grandpa. So Gampy. Thunder dropped to the Jazz 116-103. Shea Gilgeous-Alexander 33 points, 7 rebounds, 8 assists, and 4 steals.
Bojan Bogdanovic hit 11 threes. I'm sorry.
11 of 18, 61%.
even if you're not tanking, you're not beating a team if a dude just hangs 11 threes on
Oh,
you.
no. And if you are tanking, probably one of the things that you need to focus on for your future when you start to actually try to win is perimeter defense. And that's just not wasn't in the cards.
Well, let's see. No Lou Dort, who's a fantastic perimeter defender. No Josh Giddey. No Derek
These guys
Favors.
are young. I mean, they're
No
young.
Isaiah
They got fresh
Roby.
legs. Get out there and guard somebody.
You're really thinking
61% from three.
You're really thinking 3 years the likes of wow. I mean, Sar, Teo Maladon, beat Krejci.
So you're not one that thinks Maladon is a long-term solution at anything?
He's so often. I mean, he hasn't had any consistency. I get he's still young. We shouldn't give up on him. Like you notice, I didn't say Pokashevsky's name because I think he's still a child.
Everybody in Oklahoma City wants Poku.
I know. Well,
it's a bunch of 20 somethings that grew up on Pokemon. That's the whole reason.
They're a bunch of guys that are under 22. You know, they just got to find. They need the experience.
And experience paid off.
Defense isn't something that works in the NBA much, anyways, is it?
Yeah, experience paid off for LeBron James yesterday as he dropped 56 on the Warriors, and becomes the oldest and youngest player to ever score 50 points in a game.
Oh,
I thought that, well, no, I mean, when he came in, he was with the Cavs. He dropped 50 on somebody, and then now that he's nearly 40, he drops 56. I'll say this. The bad thing about that victory over Golden State is it takes away the luster of Dallas sweeping them last week.
Yeah.
I mean, Dallas is playing good. You got to go play those games.
Yeah.
But
right.
I mean,
Well, now that the Warriors have dropped two straight, the talking heads are saying they are not a championship contender. So, don't feel anything about those victories because they don't even count.
Well, and
because there are no ebbs and flows in an 82 game season. Every game, everybody's totally on, and
slight them at their own peril. Funny result from yesterday to me was the Houston Memphis matchup, 123-112. The Rockets win that one, and
it's a broken clock game, Chuck.
Yeah. So, anyways, it just Memphis is on a roll. They got a potential MVP, and then Houston's supposed to be tanking too, aren't they?
Yeah, but they came out of halftime. Just I don't know what they did. I don't know what happened at halftime, but they scored 71 points after the half.
Yeah. Jokic, New York Knicks 116-93 over the Clippers off of that big win on Friday night by LA, or no, it was Thursday night because we talked about it on the Weekend Big Show. Clippers probably the poster child for inconsistency. I would have to say.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Isaiah Hartenstein's getting a lot of big minutes. So
yeah, that's always a good thing. Bucks beat the Suns yesterday, and like we said, Utah. That Brooklyn-Boston game, I guess, was a big one too. As Celtics win that 126.
Jason Tatum had like 50.
He's on a roll. We'll talk more about that in the next segment. Lawdog Sports on SportsTalk 1230, brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, where Texoma wins. Don't forget the bottom of the hour. MJ Baird from KFDX Channel 3 Sports will join us. Sports Talk for the Texas Rolling Plains. Sports Talk 1230, Seymour, Wichita Falls. Lawdog Sports back here with you on a Monday. Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog. Jeremy Schroder, brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, where Texoma wins. Get on up to Duval, Oklahoma, right there north of Red River off of I-44. Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, beautiful facility. If you do make it past there and get on up to Lawton or into Elgin, be sure and check out the other Comanche Nation casinos on the way up from Red River to the Oklahoma City area. So, Jeremy, we talked about we talked about basketball. It was college Big 12 weekend last Saturday of the season last regular season game for the Big 12. Big loss on the road. Texas Tech loses to OSU 52-51. Last game of the season for the Pokes as it stands. No Big 12 title, no Big 12 tournament appearance, and they were banned from postseason. They get the win, and it was just a 10-0 run there. Close. We've got audio here from Mark Adams, and he was talking about that last run by the Pokes.
Yeah, made some poor decisions and took some quick shots, and it was we were really needing an easy basket and just couldn't find one.
So I was on the road listening to that and heard the final minute, 2 minutes, and Tech just this worries me going forward in the tournament is that when they need offense, I don't know. I mean, O'Banner has his moments. Bryson Williams, does a lot of great things, but I just don't know. It's one of those situations that just makes me worry once you get into the tournament. Could they end up being one of those one and dones?
They shouldn't be, but
no,
man, I the Big 12 is just so bizarre, especially this year. You got Kansas dropping games that they never would have dropped 10 years ago. And, Tech looking like an absolute juggernaut one night and then, scoring 51 points the next.
Well, and they go undefeated at home this season. I mean, they're huge, but they struggled on the road. I mean, they dropped that one in Norman, and they allowed Oklahoma to shoot nearly 70% in that one. And then, I don't know. To me, and I was looking at it and I didn't get to check the final box score, but I don't think Kevin McCullough played in that one. So, and then just, I don't know. I know that OSU was fired up. I know they've played well at home. I mean, they took Baylor to win.
And they usually do.
Yeah. And probably a little extra motivation as they, know that they knew that was their final game of the season. But I don't know. It just, and really they didn't hit a three in the second half until Bryce Thompson hits that go-ahead three-pointer with 19 seconds left. And then to hear the radio call and how Texas Tech was trying to get off a tying or game-winning shot, it just sounded like folly. It's just sad.
Yeah, but hey, remember we talked about purple nemesis last week.
Yeah.
This is called Segway, kids. How about them Sooners taking care of the purple kitties from up there in Manhattan?
They did. The Fighting Porter Mosers.
First time since 2012 they got a win in the Little Apple.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah. So I don't know. The Big 12 tournament, to me, I think it's lost a lot of its luster compared to what it used to be. And I hate to go back to this, but back when it was Big 8, you know what I mean? But there's still a lot of great ball to be played, but Texas Tech falls and loses their chance. They needed a lot to happen to get into a tie for the regular season title. They had to have a loss by Kansas and Baylor and win. So they obviously weren't able to get that. And then Kansas, I think both those teams won over the weekend, but it'll be a lot of fun to watch the tournament. I'll try to sit down. Here's the thing. I'll be at the fairgrounds in Oklahoma City tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. or well before that.
Game at time. The Big House.
Game time is 9 a.m. at the Big House in Oklahoma City. And
9 a.m. Wow.
And then I'll be there for an evening nightcap at 6 p.m. So a lot of basketball for me coming up. So, but it's fun and it's really great to call play-by-play for a program that has two teams in the state tournament. And also we'll talk to MJ Baird later in the program about the two teams from Wichita Falls in the state tournament. But right now, let's turn our attention, Jeremy, to the Underwear Olympics, as we call them, and Big day for Georgia defensive lineman as Jordan Davis really wowed everybody with his sub-5 40-yard dash, and I think he's listed at 330.
Well, no, you have the two Georgia defensive linemen.
Yeah.
You have is it Devontae Wyatt, 6'3", 304, running a 4.7.
So there's a common theme that generally goes with teams that win the Natty, and a lot of times to me it's those
freakish athletes.
Yeah, what? Yeah, freakish athletes and ones that are down in the trenches. And the thing about that Jordan Davis 40-yard run is it totally, and just because he's bigger, it totally overshadowed the 4.89 ran by your buddy Perrion Winfrey.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, and the fact that these guys got to actually play in a real football defensive scheme this year just should sicken anybody who's a Sooner fan.
Yeah,
but Jordan Davis is 348 pounds.
Yeah, and I heard him say on the NFL Network that they have to really watch him to keep him from blowing up to 360, 370.
He's 6'6".
He's huge.
He doesn't look like a big old sloppy guy.
Well, here's the thing, and when you're that athletic and you're that huge, and I know it's different positions, but you're still down in the trenches. Do you have a longer future and more money potential if you did switch to the offensive side, possibly? I mean,
I think so.
I mean, Bob Stoops did that with Jamal Brown. Jamal Brown came in as a 5-star, maybe 4-star defensive tackle. He was there one spring and said, "You're going to be an offensive lineman." Yeah,
moved into the tackle, and the rest is history.
And he won him an Outland Trophy. Look at Trent Williams and the money he's made, in his career.
Orlando Brown just got franchised.
Yeah, and then then you have to. I didn't know that. Is Kansas City going? What's Kansas City going to do with the Honey Badger?
I don't know. They posted some thank you Tyrann Mathieu the other day, so I don't know what happened.
So the undersized safety that's the linchpin of your defense, we're just going to say goodbye. Nice job.
Well, that defense didn't really stop anybody. Let's be realistic.
It kind of did when he was in the game.
I mean, I love the Honey Badger, but let's be realistic. That defense needs a complete overhaul.
Yeah, I could see that. So Texas Tech with players in the combine. DeMarcus Fields runs a 4.48 yesterday. I'm pretty sure yesterday was the cornerbacks and safeties, and then Dawson Deaton, the center from Texas Tech. He did pretty well, 5.12 in the 40. But looking at overall rankings, they all tend to favor the SEC, most of the time. One thing about your guy, Nick Benito, I noticed, and I saw some of him in the drills on Saturday. I don't know if he had the wrong cleats for the turf there at Lucas Oil Stadium, but he was falling and tripping quite a bit on several of the drills I watched.
Yeah, I didn't get to watch any of it. I don't have the NFL Network, but I did hear that he looked a bit, wrong cleats. Yeah,
he didn't get lumped in with those guys that dropped their stock, and that's a good thing for him.
Well, I mean, he ran a 4.5 at 2.48. So
sure,
and he's got tape.
Therein lies the thing. I mean, as much as he's been lauded for his edge performance, that's not real big, and I know he's bigger than Eric Stryker was, but Eric Stryker just was way too much of a tweener for the league.
I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau is being talked about, being a top 5 pick is like 5 or 10 pounds bigger.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I think, and we get into the whole thing with how teams look at it. But
and Stryker weighed 215.
Yeah, he was a true tweener. That's that Lewis Baker size,
Yeah,
you can't get him above 220.
Right. Yeah.
Same. I don't care. So, anyways, but yeah, you mentioned those 40 times and pretty much dominated by some of our area teams. With the kid from UTSA, Tariq Woolen, cornerback, running a 4.26. Kalen Barnes from Baylor running a 4.23, fastest official times of the combine. Tyquan Thornton with a 4.28. So 2 out of the 3 top times were Big 12 players and 2 from Baylor. Also Zion McCollum from Sam Houston State ran a 4.3. So, I would say this, and we say it, the combine's not all about, they're going to, a good scout and a good GM goes back and watches tape. But if you have good tape and you haven't really been noticed because you play at Sam Houston State, probably really helps to go to the combine and run a 4.3 and have guys saying, maybe we need to go check out his tape.
Yeah, 4.26 at a UTSA. Now, look at that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Sincere McCormick, one of my favorite running backs. I don't think he ran super fast, but out of the running backs, I guess Brees Hall went up and just shined in a big way.
Let's see. I'm looking at the running backs right now. Your fastest was Pierre Strong from South Dakota State.
There's another one.
Wow.
And that's the thing. This, you play at the
Kenny
Blue
Walker.
Kenny Walker
Michigan
the third,
State.
Michigan State.
4.38.
Dan
Brees Hall 4.39.
The thing about Kenny Walker the third is he pretty much single-handedly beat Jim Harbaugh.
Our guy Kennedy Brooks ran a 4.59, and that was I was surprised. That's a lot faster than I thought he was. Sincere McCormick ran a 4.6 flat.
Yeah. So, but with running backs, I know with running backs, they they're probably going to judge a lot on the drills as well.
Well, yeah, running back is, burst and get into the hole quick. So
Exactly.
Probably first 10 steps.
And they'll look at those splits too.
Sure.
But no, big day for several players to, like I said, and your guy, DeLaren Turner-Yell, as a safety, particularly coming from the University of Oklahoma, that 4.47 should be like hoisted up on a banner or something.
No kidding. Yeah, that's
you took that way too in stride. Lawdog Sports here with you on a Monday. Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog, will be back and come back to talk to our good friend MJ Baird from KFDX Channel 3 Sports. Brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, where Texoma wins.
Listen, man, I can't
business, but even harder to keep it. That's it. That's all. The place for Lawdog Sports and Sports Map Radio. Sports Talk 1230, Seymour, Wichita Falls.
Lawdog Sports back here with you on Sports Talk 1230, brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino, where Texoma wins. Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog, Jeremy Schroder joining me as he always does. If you miss an episode, be sure to go to lawdogsports.com, check out our podcast section, and subscribe to the platform of your choice. We are making our episodes available on all of the major podcast platforms, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, you name it, we get it out there to you. So go to lawdogsports.com. And also, there is a section there called Leave Your Take, and that's where you can type in a question, comment, or criticism. We'll even take criticism here, and we will talk about what you type in on the air. So joining us via the Comanche Red River Hotel Casino studio line is our good friend MJ Baird, here for his regular segment, Mondays with MJ. MJ Baird, you've been busy with a lot of high school basketball. You and I will get into that in the next segment. But I know that you're somebody who stays abreast of all the latest sports news. And I got to say, are you sitting there secretly hoping that Belichick would just trade the farm to go up and get Jordan Davis, the Georgia defensive tackle, in the first 5 pick?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. I don't even know if Bill Belichick, does he know what trade the farm means?
No, because that's
he does. He'll trade him back and get more picks in the 4th and 5th rounds.
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
He has his own definition.
Yeah,
That's
you're up
right.
for a contract renewal. We're gonna send you off somewhere else and get a bunch of youngsters that will train to do your job. So,
Right.
anyways, but no, it was real interesting. Jeremy and I were talking about it, and it's to me, it's hard to say this, and this is going to sound so weird, but watching the combine is just so lacking of controversy now. I kind of hope they go out and get Mike Mayock back in there.
I mean, lacking of controversy. Here's my controversy. Didn't like a million guys run a stupid time in the 40? Are we sure it's actually 40 yards?
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
it's
they
38.
must have put a new surface down, a lot faster
Yes,
surface.
I
Probably
mean,
probably some of the old AstroTurf that used to be on the Big 12 fields around the Southland.
They took the Veterans Field turf and put it out there. Yeah, a good point. And it does seem like speeds were definitely. I mean, you've got you've got 3 guys that ran sub 4.3. And 2 of them, well, all 3 of them from within the colleges within the state of Texas. And so, and then you had an SMU receiver, Danny Gree, run a 4.3. So yeah, I think you make a great point, MJ, in the fact that defensive tackles running under 340-pound defensive tackles running under 5 flat and just a lot of speed out there. So maybe they had a big blower down there in that end zone, kind of giving them wind assist.
Someone paid big money for the guys who set it up to make it 39 yards instead.
Yeah, I
so
bet
that
you're
they
right.
could improve their draft stock. It's the 2022 draft scandal brought to you by MJ.
Well, it's probably some plot, and I think you're onto something. And the minute I think you're onto something, we'll run with it. But and it could be something that the owners, running at the players' union with, where they say we don't have to pay you as much. We've got young talent coming in all the time. Basically, I bet it's the philosophy. Let's try to get everybody on a rookie contract for life. How about that?
That is exactly what it is, guaranteed.
You think Belichick would sign off on that?
Oh my goodness, Chuck! That he's the mastermind behind this entire thing.
Okay, quick question for you. Switching gears just for a second to college baseball.
Okay.
Is Merrimack anywhere near Quinnipiac?
So yes, I mean it's actually I'd say it's closer to like my home of Pembroke, Massachusetts, but it is it's probably a 3-hour drive from Quinnipiac.
Do they play in the same league or anything as Quinnipiac?
They do not. Quinnipiac's in the MAC. Merrimack is going to play in not the MAC.
Okay. Well, and not the MAC.
Wow.
Return of the MAC. No, but anyways, well, I was going to say if you wanted to, send trash talk back home, you could probably do so with the Merrimack baseball team, because I think they got trucked in so many games this weekend by Texas Tech. I know that the final one that they played was 12-4, and I believe a Ryder kid, if I saw on Twitter correctly, where was that? Yeah, Parker Kelly, Ryder High School grad, 2 grand slams in one game versus Merrimack.
3 home runs, a solo shot, and 2 grand slams.
Yeah,
the kid had 2 career home runs at Texas Tech. He's a 5th-year senior before yesterday. And then he hits 3 in a game. 9 RBI is
That's awesome.
tied a program record for the 9 RBIs, and no one's ever hit 2 grand slams in a game in Tech history. I mean, where did this come from?
Yeah. Well, hey, here's the thing: is
Juicing.
somebody at Merrimack could probably get a long-standing pro career as batting practice pitcher. I mean,
Wow.
Home run derby pitcher. Yeah.
Exactly. Get that kid signed up for the All-Star game. So I guess Wyatt the Yaya was the pitcher of record for Merrimack, and if he made it to the 5th inning, that's when he gave up the 7 runs. It was 3-1 going in the 5th, and then big 5th inning yesterday for the Red Raiders. So anyways, I thought that was interesting. Jonathan Hull from the Times Record News, I think I saw his tweet, or no, yeah, I think it was he retweeted it, and Parker Kelly, a former Ryder player.
Yeah, cool stuff. I had seen a bunch of articles about that, and Jonathan had one, and I think it must have been to be honest, I'm not sure. I think it was Parker's dad had sent me a Facebook message to keep us apprised of the information. So always love to see those local kids, continue at the next level. And we thank people for sending that our way.
Yeah. Hey,
and Merrimack is in the Northeast Conference.
The Northeast.
Yes, the NEC. That's right.
The NEC.
That's right.
All right. Well, and they'll probably so they are in the state of Massachusetts.
Yes.
Okay, I thought so, but I wasn't quite confirmed. So when I think Merrimack, I always first thing that comes to mind is Merrimack and those Merrimack cabins up there in Missouri. So anyways,
over my head, Chuck.
Okay.
Jeremy, did you ever as your career as an Ichabod, did you ever catch a 2 Grand Slam game?
No, I didn't. Sorry. Yeah.
Here's a little something for you guys, and think about this. It was 44 degrees yesterday at Rip Griffin Park. So to hit 2 Grand Slams, his hands had to have been just really, really hurting pretty bad.
It only hurts if you get jammed or hit it off the
really?
end.
The jam
Yeah, if you hit it flush, it doesn't bother you at all.
Okay. All right.
There's a little tidbit for you.
So anyways, congratulations to Parker Kelly, former Rider grad, for beating up on a team from the Northeast and sending them home with a bad taste in the mouth of Lubbock. But anyways, so MJ, back on football, and I told Jeremy this, and I'm going full throttle, all brakes, no gas on the USFL. And this Houston Gambler squad, coached by Kevin Sumlin, I'm jumping in with both feet, and I was telling Jeremy that April 17th.
All brakes, no gas.
April 17th is opening day for the USFL, and I'm going to binge watch it like it was a Netflix series.
Interesting. Okay. I'm curious, A, as to why, but B, as to what has you going all brakes, no gas on this league.
It's football. It's football for one thing, but it's a thumb of the nose to baseball because I'm so sick of this crap that I'm hearing from, because I mean, face it, fellas, and MJ, I want you to and Jeremy, we're not going to have baseball in the month of April.
Guys,
I'm come to that conclusion.
And we lived through the strike, the canceled World Series in 1994, and then just the utter disrepair the game was in until 1998, and then everyone started blasting their face off with steroids and hitting home runs, and then that saved the game. What do we got now?
No.
What are they going to do this time?
Yeah, MJ, I mean, every time I hear an update about these labor talks, it just sounds like they're getting further apart.
Yeah, I saw something yesterday on Twitter. I think actually Robin from Channel 6, Robin Hearn, she's been tweeting a lot about what's going on with her brother there. It seemed like there was like maybe some progress a little bit, and then next thing we know, it's like, okay, no progress again. So you know what, I think there's something to be said for these people, and when I say these people, like us, others, not like last year, or I guess the 2020 season, right, during the COVID. Personally, I was okay with the shortened season. It didn't really bother me. That
was to be expected, though.
It kind of cut them a break on a pandemic, right?
Yeah.
No, but okay, yes, definitely yes. But what I'm saying is, 162, I think, has proven to be too long. It drags. The casual baseball fan probably doesn't stick with it for 162. No. And I'm actually wondering, is maybe 125 better for the game?
144.
So, okay, somewhere less than 162. And maybe this is outlandish, but if you do this, so you shortened in 2020 because of a pandemic. If you're shortening this year, assuming a deal becomes reached, people are going to get into this, for lack of a better term, routine to understand baseball is only this long. And nothing was taken away from my viewing experience in a shortened year, minus the fact that I couldn't go to a game myself because you couldn't go with fans. I wonder if it molds the game a little bit. And I don't think it's something they're doing on purpose, but I wonder if it's a result.
I'll play resident old man, and Jeremy, I know you got to get out of here. We're coming up on the break, but I'll play resident old man. As much as I think your solution makes sense, I think it makes sense because of the state of the world and the generations that are upcoming. I mean, my grandparents watched 162 ball games every
No, they didn't, Chuck. They watched 144.
144.
144. It was
Now
in
where-
the 50s or 60s when they added games.
Sure. But basically, okay. So yeah, 144, 120,
So
whatever.
remember the Maris home run record had the asterisk for years because it was in a 162 game season, not 144 like the Babe.
I see. Okay. So there's that. But I'm just saying, I think, and what my fear is, and I am playing curmudgeon and Gran Torino here, is
He's
that we
not
get
playing.
into a
This is really him.
situation where it's just like fast food service for sports. And I see your point, MJ, and I think it probably is probably something that has to be done if you want to keep it. I think I would hate to ever see it go below 144. But that's just me.
Yeah, and you know what? Maybe it's a trial and error thing. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you don't really have time to figure that out. It's like,
No,
if we
not
want
right now.
something, we got to do something. So I don't know.
After the strike of 94 that Jeremy and I lived through, I just thought, if it ever happened again, they're done. So now here we are. Lawdog Sports on SportsTalk 1230, brought to you by Comanche Red River Hotel Casino. Jeremy, have a great day. We'll talk to you on Wednesday.
All right. See you guys.
All right. Jeremy Schroder, MJ Baird here with me for one more segment. This is Lawdog Sports on SportsTalk 1230.
This is Jeff Haxton, the voice of Texas Tech basketball. Now back to Lawdog Sports with the Lawdog, Chuck Ramsey on AM 1230 KSCY, Wreck-'em Tech.
And we will be wrecking them for Texas Tech as we get into the Big 12 tournament for both the men and the women. You can hear all their games here live, courtesy Learfield IMG College on Sports Talk 1230 and 94.3 FM KSEY. And it looks to me, if I'm looking at the schedule correctly, their next game will be this Thursday, March 10th, against the Iowa State Cyclones. 8:30 p.m. is the tip-off time. That means pregame will be at 7:30 p.m. with the call from Jeff Haxton and Chris Level. So a lot of fun basketball still yet to come as the Big 12 tournament gets going underway midweek this week. So a lot of basketball going on in the 806 over the weekend, and the city of Lubbock was hosting regionals, and two teams from the Wichita Falls area, as I'm joined here by MJ Baird from KFDX Channel 3 Sports via the Comanche Red River Hotel Casino studio line. MJ, City View and Hershey punched their ticket to the state tournament in San Antonio. It's going to be Mexican food and Riverwalk for some teams down there, and looking forward to some coverage from you, my friend, as you'll make that trip.
Yeah, I'm heading down to San Antonio Thursday morning. City View plays Thursday afternoon. Hershey plays Friday afternoon. If we're fortunate enough to have one or both of them win, the state championship games are Saturday, March 12th. Everything's going on at the Alamo Dome. So I've been to San Antonio once. I went there last year for the state tennis tournament, but I've never been to the Alamo Domes, proper. So I'm excited to kind of step foot in there.
It's funny because this last year, as growing up an Oklahoma football fan, and throughout the invention of the Big 12 conference and then subsequent expansion of bowls, first time that Oklahoma had ever played in the Alamo Bowl. And I remember back in the 90s when they just weren't any good, thinking the Alamo Bowl would be so great to go to. Then they always kind of overshot it with their standings in the Big 12. But I think San Antonio is a great bowl destination. I think it's a great place to have the state tournament. Interesting thing I remember from last year, I think it was Class 1A, that the team from, it's like the furthest northwest corner of the Texas Panhandle text line, I think, traveled down to San Antonio for the state finals, and the mileage was actually way longer than if they played in Denver. So it's just amazing, the concept of the travel that some of these teams have to make. I mean, you think about a team having to take a full, probably, 12-hour day to drive, a busload of kids to go to San Antonio, and then just think about if they'd had it in Houston or something. So, but no, I think it was Text Line last year in the state finals, and they might have won it if I remember right. But just one of those things that even from Wichita Falls, it's a pretty good clip from to San Antonio.
You know what's wild? If that's a drive like a team has to make for a state tournament, to relate that back to like my childhood, Massachusetts, like if you're in the state championship, everything's in Boston, and the furthest you can possibly be away from Boston in the state of Massachusetts is probably, and I'm being generous here, is probably no more than 2 hours. If you're in like the most northwest corner of Massachusetts possible.
You're inland,
so,
and yeah.
Right. And to think you have to drive 12 within your same state, you drive 12 from Boston, you can get down to New Jersey, you can get past it, Pennsylvania, Chicago, Illinois. So anyway, that's funny. But yeah, as far as the trip from Wichita Falls go, I've done both. I've done 35 all the way down, and I've done 281 all the way down through every little small town. Yeah. So I got to decide what I'm going to do.
I prefer 281 just out of just not having to deal with Waco and Austin. But I understand the concept. If you go through, I think it's Heiko, there's a place there called the Coffee Cup. And I think both coffee and cup are spelled with a K. Okay. And they've been profiled on Texas Country Reporter in the past, if I remember right. So they're kind of a renowned little diner, I think, with just some great pie. If you're a pie connoisseur, but then it's also, to me, it's also nice to drive through Mineral Springs and down through the hill country. It's pretty nice, but it is some stop and go, and things like that. But that's kind of the speed I operate at now, MJ. But so anyways, well, the City View Mustangs, they've been an outstanding team all year, and they draw number 1 Madison in the 3A state tournament. And this is their first time in the state tournament. And tell me about that Jordan Durham game winner against Brock to put it ahead 46-44.
Yeah. So I was actually listening to this game on the radio, driving back from a softball game.
Yeah.
City View was up 3 with 10 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. Brock nails a 3. We're going to overtime. City View literally got the ball back. There wasn't much points scored in overtime, maybe 4 points each. City View got the ball back with a minute left in overtime. And they just dribbled it out all the way down. So they got Jaden and Chris Witten, the 2 studs on the team, twin brothers, used to go to Hershey. Now they're at City View. And eventually Brock realizes, okay, they're going to run this down and take the last shot in a tie game in overtime. So eventually they called the double team to one of the Wittens. And wouldn't you know it, that frees up another guy down low, and it happens to be Jordan Durham. And I don't want to say unlikely hero, because all the guys on that team are definitely very capable of scoring buckets, and they assist the Wittens all the time with scoring. But in a situation where you're trying to take a last shot in overtime, I would have bet a lot of money that one of the Wittens was going to take that shot. Yeah. But hey, you pull that double team, you leave Jordan open down low. I mean, he's a running back on the football team. He can take contact and lay it in, and that's exactly what he did in the paint. The layup came with like 2 seconds left, and Brock had to inbound the ball and try to put up a half-court shot. They couldn't even get the ball inbounded. They threw it out of bounds. City View ball. Game over. Mustangs headed to state.
Wow. Congratulations to City View. I noticed something that they did do there in Lubbock that we didn't get to do on the north side of the Red River with the teams that I call. They actually got the ladders out and cut down some nets. So kudos to them. There was none of that going on Friday and Saturday where I was at, but still celebration nonetheless. But here's the thing, in addition to City View, now Wichita Falls ISD has a team in the state tournament, as the Hershey Huskies will take on the number 6 ranked Bernie. I don't even know what their mascot is, but they beat Canyon 46-39. And they said that was going to be Friday at 3:30.
Yes, it's either 3 or 3:30. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's the later afternoon game. I'm so pumped to have 2 teams at state. I don't know. I guess I got to look into the archives a little more. Mm-hmm. Last time we had 2 teams, not discount Taps here for a second, because obviously we just had Christ Academy win, but 2 UIL teams in the state tournament. I'd have to look it up. I'm not sure if we ever have. We've got 2 legitimate state championship contenders. City View's been rolling all year long. Hershey, I think they've gone a little bit under my radar. And by that, I mean, obviously I've known they've been good, but they're just kind of cruising along, knocking off these teams ranked higher than them. I don't want to say no problem, but their biggest scare, if you will, came against Hereford in the regional semifinals, where they were down and they came back and rallied and then won the game. So this team's built for a deep playoff run, clearly, even though I may not have seen it. And I'm so excited to see this pay off with hopefully a trip to the state championship game. I think they got a good matchup here in the semifinals.
Good deal. So do you guys kind of farm out the coverage for the broadcast to the Lubbock stations within the Next Star Network? Is that how that works for highlights and things, or did you send somebody?
So it depends usually. With Tobin having been down in Waco, and Midwestern State was in Frisco, and those teams were in Lubbock, and Electro was in Snyder. We couldn't choose where to go. You know, we obviously had to go to Waco for state for Christ Academy. Yeah. So we only have so many resources. So yes, we had to rely on Lubbock, our sister station out there. A few hiccups in that comes with the territory when you're relying on someone else. So it is what it is, but we'll be creating our own content at state. So
what was the did Electra punch their ticket, or did they fall?
They lost in the regional semifinals.
Okay. All right. Well, congratulations to Ryan Quillen. A great season by the Tigers for sure.
Absolutely.
Fell just short. And then, like you said, Christ Academy wins the TAPS championship in Waco last week. So really pretty big year for Wichita Falls area basketball.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually doing a story on that this week. I have my paper right in front of me here before we run out of time.
Nice.
Quick little interesting stat here that Tobin and I were able to research. We were trying to see if any teams in Texoma, in our area, have ever won the boys and girls state championship in the same year. It's never been done. Christ Academy is the first to do it. But Archer City, Bowie, and Henrietta Midway, those 3 schools have each won a boys title and a girls title, but they've never done it in the same year. So just cool little stat. I know it's TAPS 1A. It's little schools in the private school world, but there's nothing little about their game, as I like to say.
Exactly. Baseball and softball coverage upcoming, and going to be keeping you on the road quite a bit when you get back from San Antonio.
Yeah, these tournaments keep us busy as all heck, Chuck. Yep. Games all day, every day in our area. So it's good. It's good.
Well, it's all about the grind. And then, as you said on your motivation last night, it's about taking the hit and hitting back sometimes.
Absolutely. You got that right. Bang, bang, bang. Little 1-2 punch.
That's right. Combination from MJ Baird. All right, my friend. Well, listen, it was good to visit with you, and you have a safe journey down to San Antonio, and we'll see how you're doing on Monday next week. If you have the gumption to come back on, if you don't, we'll understand. You got a busy week ahead of you.
All right. Sounds good, Chuck. Thanks. I appreciate it.
All right. Thanks. MJ Baird from KFDX Channel 3 Sports joins us for Mondays with MJ via the Comanche Red River Hotel Casino studio line. Chuck Ramsey, the Lawdog. That wraps up this program. We'll be back on Wednesday. Talk more sports with you. Lawdog Sports on SportsTalk 1230.